Well, this is going to be one of the most controversial videos I'll ever make, but I'm going to roll on with it anyway. So we all have different opinions on various stuff in life, both good and bad. And in the world of rallying, it's no different. The WRC has evolved a lot over the years since it started in 1973, and naturally, many different opinions started to form over the years. So I thought I'd have a sit down and just give some of my own personal opinions on certain things of the WRC. Some reasonably chill opinions, others could cause some arguments. First, let's talk about the total distance of a WRC rally. In recent years, the total distance of a single rally has been around the 300km mark, and whilst that is not a short distance at all, it is tiny compared to the past. I've actually did some research myself and actually discovered that not that long ago, we've had rallies that were like 400, 500, 600km long. Even as recently as 2002, we had a rally that was 1,000km long. So whilst I don't really have a length problem, which can also be said for my manly pencil, I do feel like we do need to add a little bit more distance to the rallies. So I would suggest having most rallies around the 400, maybe 500km mark, and have a small handful of rallies, maybe like the Safari Rally for example, that are closer to that 1000km mark. And whilst the speed and endurance of the cars and drivers are still tested to a high level with the current distances, I feel like these higher distances, these higher kilometer distances, will put that test to an even higher level. This next one is going to be the juiciest and most controversial of the four I've got here, but I'm going to say it with my chest anyway. At this point, we should all know what Group B is, right? That crazy era of the early 1980s where there were basically almost no rules on how you can build the car. Just build it, show up, and don't die, which is optional. Now, many people consider this era of the WRC from 82 to 86 to be the golden era, the best of the best, the all-time greatest era of the WRC. Well, I have to disagree with you right there because I feel like the Group B era is a bit overrated. Now, I can already hear people typing in the comment section how wrong I am in caps lock, but let me explain myself. Now, the idea of a near no rules, fast AF rally car with all the bells and whistles of the time sounds amazing until you're bringing everything else besides speed, mainly safety. You see, back in those days, when trying to make a car as fast as possible, the safety aspect kinda gets forgotten a lot of the time, and as a result, these cars were quite fragile and would break kinda easily when pushed to the limit for too long. And it's not just the cars that had safety issues at the time, the spectator safety was also just ridiculous. I mean, look at this shot. It only takes a small driver error to cause a horrendous accident. So whilst the cars of the time were truly insane, I don't agree that this was the golden era of the WRC. Sure, there were many competitors back then, more compared to today, but no team and drivers back then did a full season, the cars were not flattered all the time, extremely fragile, and in general I feel like Group B is a bit overrated. Let me know if you want me to make a separate video dedicated to this one opinion, because I feel like I have a bit more to say here than what I just said. Next, we head over to toxic word central. I mean social media. But seriously though, the toxic nature of social media needs to be burned down. But regarding social media, which is now bigger than ever, the current WRC promoter, in my view, is just not good enough. Now, I'm not saying that the content they put out there is complete garbage. In fact, I think some of the content they've been putting out recently is pretty decent. However, despite that, I do feel like it is not quite enough at the moment. TV coverage sometimes has been a bit poor and recently, some cases, overpriced. The social media side, whilst okay, it is lacking a little bit behind to other motorsports, say Formula 1 for example, and in general I feel like the current strategy is not maybe the one to push forward in order to see success. I feel like either the current promoter needs to step up or an entirely new promoter needs to be brought in, because I do feel like the WRC in terms of marketing is lacking a little bit behind others and I don't really want to see that. Now, last but not quite least is regarding one of the newest rallies on the WRC calendar. This year's calendar features 14 rounds, 3 of which are fresh for the sport, and one of them being Saudi Arabia. Now, obviously, knowing Saudi Arabia, it's always going to have some kind of controversy attached to it, and it's no different here. Rally Saudi Arabia will join the calendar this year on a 10-year deal. No rally currently has a contract longer than that. Although a lot of people are not fully on board with the idea of a rally in Saudi, I do kind of want to give this one a chance. Now, I am fully aware of all the stake that Saudi Arabia is currently getting. Money, human rights, all that kind of stuff. But I do feel like that with this WRC edition, plus some other similar stuff, I feel like Saudi Arabia want to paint a better image of themselves on the world stage. Yes, Saudi Arabia don't have the best one right now, but people and countries can easily change that. And yes, Saudi Arabia have a lot of money in their pockets, but you're not going to achieve anything with it if you don't know how to use it properly. So whilst I myself is still not fully 100% on board with the rally in Saudi Arabia yet, I'd say we give them a chance. Let us wait until the end of the season and then we can talk. So those are some of my interesting opinions about the WRC. Let me know what are some of your interesting, unpopular and or controversial opinions regarding the WRC or just rallying in general. Now if I get enough opinions, I might make this into a series where I react to your opinions about the WRC or rallying in general. Like, subscribe, do all that great stuff, follow me on all my other social media platforms, but until next time, goodbye.